Hello, everyone. Welcome back. In this one, we are going to be talking about how price actually prints because there is a lot of bullshit in the industry on how structure, ranges, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. Don't get too confused about terms necessarily. Just understand what the terms are. It's all the same thing. Don't look for that holy grail because you're not going to find it. Keep it simple. I promise you that is the way. You can watch any professional trader, anyone that's actually doing this for real, and you'll see they keep it very simple. So here is a trade I took today. Comment on this. You see this whole entire distribution here, redistribution. After this primary distribution last week, we opened the day, it's Monday. Last night we opened up, came in, redistributed here on an inside range into this range here, but it was all part of this larger redistribution. So, in this one, I'm going to talk to you about how price actually prints. Let's go down here. In 1 second. So, in the industry, think about the 4 stages of the market and what I've taught you. People are going to tell you the price will print something like this. Even within the four cycles of the market, 4 stages, I showed you something like this, and that's kind of what we stuck with so far. But that is not how price is always going to print. It's going to be more erratic than this, and this here is very easy, very obvious price action. Obviously, we would prefer it to always print like this, but that's not always the case. And if you actually want to do this for longer periods of time for a career, then you need to understand how it's really going to print. So instead of this, assume that it's never going to, or very rarely going to be that simple. Obviously, whenever it is, you can take advantage of that. But I want to teach you how to literally trade everything always. So this here, throw it out, trash. Instead, come on over here. If you're in an uptrend, it's very often that you're going to see price print something more like this. So you'll have your initial uptrend, you have the break, boom, and then you might just get a shallow retracement like this, a reaccumulation like we were talking about, and then a drive, and then a very slight pullback, and then a drive, something like that. Or what you could see is, 1 second, kind of struggling here on the chart. So instead of that, what you could see is something like your initial break, same as right here, and then you get a deep retracement, that accumulation into these equal lows here, might wick underneath, absorb, as we talked about in the last video, I believe, break up to the top side, giving you this full reaccumulation, pulling back again, and then boom, lift off. Then from here, you could again see something like boom, lift off directly after. So there's a lot of ways that price can print, but once you understand the basics, which is that you have a range, high, low, broken, then you're looking for price to pull back after a high is put in, and the sub-ranges of this pullback, or the sub-ranges within this move up, and then you're watching those sub-ranges, those are what you're paying attention to look for that reaccumulation and a bottom. Now, that high volume area, the level, the pivot that price could pull back into, could be just a shallow retracement like this, right here. It could be a very deep retracement, such as this here. Or you could see something that is more textbook, where price will pull back, pull back, pull back, boom, initial break up to the top side, pull back again, boom, then go. There's a bunch of variations here, but the idea is to get you to understand the core concept of price delivery within a range, and that you are looking for this here, this here, this here, this here, and seeing it all as the same thing. So let's look at some actual examples real quick. We will remove all of this, and we'll just look at this trade I actually took this morning. Now, this is gold. We've been kind of going over the gold mainly in these videos. But as you can see here, gold was in this downtrend. Now notice here, we broke to the downside. boom, leg down. Then we had this pullback here and this distribution right here. Now you'll see this pullback didn't technically pull back all the way up into this range. It barely wicked into it right here, but it didn't give us a clean retracement like everyone talks about and how structure actually prints in the markets to then redistribute and then go. That's rarely how price will print, and gold is actually one of the cleanest and most precise markets to read, in my opinion. The moves are just kind of slower on it, but whenever the moves do come, they really come. So let's look at here at the next example. We broke it down to the downside, had this pullback here, this distribution, and then boom, fall off, moving down to the downside again. Notice here, this pullback was very similar to how price pulled back here, pulling down into the bottom of this range, into this high liquidity area. Boom, similar to how this pullback here, pulling into this high liquidity area right here, to then distribute, same here as distribute, and then continuation. So just, you need to understand that price is going to print in a myriad of ways, and once you understand the concept and you begin to backtest it consistently, that's where you'll really start to get that understanding at. So the trade I took today, yes, we broke down here last week, I believe, to the downside under this low, which was the low to this high of this range. After this distribution, I was trading all through this. And as we did that, instead of getting a deep retracement, price just move this. Now this blue line here is going to be, it's going to represent the bottom of that prior range we broke out to the downside. 1 second. Okay, now after this high, followed this leg down. Notice here this was all tradable in the exact same concept, just on a lower time frame. Notice in these inside breaks, boom, pull back, distribute, go. Boom, break, pull back, distribute, go. Same thing happened this morning, or last week, I mean, with this slight pullback. Noticing here that yes, we broke under this larger range we were in, but we didn't get a full deep retracement back up in yet. So that's kind of where you need to understand what you're trading, what time frame you're trading. Always stick to one pair of time frames and understand how that's going to print per market, because different markets will print differently depending on the liquidity in the market, the volume in the market, all that. Now the trade I took this morning was actually based on these inside ranges, so we didn't get that deep retracement on this, and then we broke down on the inside range of that here, boom, to then get a even slighter test back in. Here, we'll go down here to a 15-minute. Noticing this full distribution here, and then getting this very slight retracement after this breakdown, boom, into this full distribution. Now, we're not going to go over too much about why I took this trade here at this point in time exactly yet. That'll come out in later videos explaining all the different things you can add into the system. But for now, the main takeaway from this video that I want you to get is that price is going to print very differently. You need to just understand the core concepts of ranges and keep it simple. Keep it very simple all the time, and that's going to help you a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this one.